Our story begins on the wild and windy island of Berk, a tough, rocky place where the weather is rough, the people are rougher, and life is anything but easy. The Vikings who live here are brave, loud, and stubborn, and they've got one big, fire-breathing problem: dragons. Every so often, dragons show up out of nowhere, swooping in to raid their village, steal livestock, and light everything on fire. That's why, when the island's big old bell starts ringing, triggered by a mysterious creature flying overhead, everyone knows what's coming. Inside one of the huts, a skinny, awkward teen named Hiccup, as everyone calls him, peeks out the door and nearly gets flattened by a dragon zooming past. Chaos explodes across the village. The sky is filled with flying dragons of all shapes and sizes, all of them dangerous, all of them hungry. Hiccup runs through the madness, trying to stay out of trouble. He explains that dragons have always been a huge problem for his people. Every time the villagers come up with a way to stop them, setting traps, building defenses, it only seems to make the dragons come back stronger. Just when it looks like Hiccup might get fried by a fireball, he's saved by the one person who really knows how to fight dragons: Stoik the Vast, the village chief, and also Hiccup's dad. Stoik is everything: powerful, confident, and respected. Stoik orders Hiccup to stay put. This is no place for a kid like him, but Hiccup can't help admiring his father's courage. After all, there's a legendary story that Stoik once ripped the head off a dragon when Hiccup was just a baby. While the battle rages on, Hiccup rushes over to the forge, run by Gobber the Belch, the village blacksmith and dragon-fighting expert. Hiccup wants to grab a special invention of his, a net launcher cannon he designed to take down dragons. But Gobber reminds him that he's just an apprentice and orders him to help out in the shop. From a distance, Hiccup watches a team of young dragon fighters, teenagers like him, charging into action. These are the cool kids, the village's fire brigade. They actually get to fight dragons. And leading them is the fierce, fearless, and beautiful Astrid Hofferson, the girl Hiccup has a huge crush on. He stares at her like a lovesick puppy. When she catches him looking, she calls him out. "What are you staring at?" Frustrated, Hiccup tells Gobber he should be out there too. He just needs a chance to prove himself. But Stoik doesn't think Hiccup is cut out for dragon slaying. That's why Hiccup secretly built his own dragon hunting weapon, a cannon that fires nets. During a demonstration, the cannon goes off by accident, trapping a poor Viking. Not his best moment. Gobber tells Hiccup that dragon fighting is more than just weapons. It takes instinct, and, sadly, Hiccup just doesn't have it. Angry and hurt, Hiccup stomps back to his blacksmith job, vowing that one day, he will kill a dragon and finally be seen as a real Viking. At this point, the movie gives us a quick, fun breakdown of the different dragon species. There's the short and chunky Gronkle, tough as a boulder. Then the hideous Zippleback, a two-headed dragon. One head breathes gas, the other lights it, causing massive explosions. There are sleek, spiky, deadly Natters, and, of course, the terrifying monstrous Nightmare, one of the fiercest dragons in existence. But the most mysterious of all? The Night Fury. No one has ever seen one up close. All they know is that it attacks silently, strikes with a massive purple fireball, and vanishes into the night. Taking down a Night Fury would be the ultimate proof of a Viking's worth. When one attacks during the raid and destroys a catapult, Hiccup sees his opportunity. With everyone distracted, he sneaks off with his net cannon and sets up on a hillside. He waits quietly, and then, boom, a flash, a sound, and Hiccup fires blindly into the dark. He hears a screech of pain. Did he actually hit it? There's no time to celebrate. A monstrous nightmare spots him and charges. Hiccup barely escapes, running through the burning village as the dragon chases him. At the last second, Stoik saves him again. But while Stoik defeats the dragon, the damage Hiccup caused gets the village livestock stolen and a few buildings burned down. Trying to explain, Hiccup insists he hit a Night Fury. Stoik doesn't believe him. He's furious and tells his son to stop messing things up. Every time Hiccup steps outside, something goes wrong. Stoik is trying to feed a whole village and get ready for winter. He doesn't have time for Hiccup's experiments. "I just want to kill a dragon," Hiccup says quietly. "It's who I am," Stoik replies firmly. "You are many things, Hiccup, but a dragon slayer is not one of them." Feeling crushed, Hiccup walks away. The other teens make fun of him, saying the only reason he hasn't been exiled is because he's the chief's son. Even Snotlout, one of the brash fire brigade teens, says his own dad is proud of him. But when Snotlout's father walks by, he completely ignores him. Karma. Later that night, Gobber walks Hiccup home. Hiccup vents about how his dad doesn't understand him and how he wishes he could be like the other Vikings. Gobber gently explains that Stoik is just scared of losing him. Still, as soon as Gobber leaves, Hiccup sneaks out again. He has to know if he really hit the Night Fury. Meanwhile, Stoik holds a meeting with the warriors. He's convinced that the dragons keep attacking because there's a dragon nest nearby. If they can find and destroy it, the raids will stop. The others agree, and Stoik announces they're going to leave Berk and find it once and for all. Gobber protests. He doesn't have time to train new dragon fighters. So Stoik makes him the instructor for the teens. And Gobber surprises him by suggesting Hiccup should join the training. Stoik isn't sure, but Gobber says maybe Hiccup just thinks differently, like his late mother did. While all that's happening, Hiccup hikes deep into the forest, following the trail of broken trees and scorched earth. Then he finds it, a crashed dragon, a real Night Fury. It's alive, but badly hurt, its wings tangled in Hiccup's net. Hiccup is stunned. He actually did it. He pulls out his knife, ready to finish the job. But then he looks into the dragon's eyes, and everything changes. Instead of seeing a monster, he sees fear, pain, and something like understanding. Hiccup can't do it. He lowers the knife and with a shaky hand, cuts the dragon free. The Night Fury roars and lunges at him, but instead of attacking, it spreads its wings and flies off into the trees. Or tries to. It crashes again, wounded and weak. Back at home, Hiccup avoids his dad. But they both have news. Stoik announces that Hiccup will start dragon training. At the same moment, Hiccup blurts out that he doesn't want to kill dragons. Awkward silence. Still, Stoik gives him an axe and says it's time to be a real Viking. Hiccup doesn't think he's cut out for it, but he doesn't get a choice. Stoik then sets sail with the warriors to find the dragon's nest, leaving behind a son he hopes will become a warrior while he's gone. At the training arena, the teens gather for a special dragon fighting test. There's Snotlout, the arrogant loudmouth, the goofy twin duo Roughnut and Toughnut, the chubby but smart Fishlegs, and the deadly serious Astrid. They're all ready, until Hiccup walks in. The others are shocked. "You're training with us?" they ask, clearly not happy. Gobber begins the ceremony with a booming voice, announcing that whoever performs best during training will receive the prestigious title of Supreme Hunter, a great honor that comes with the chance to kill a dragon in front of the entire village. Everyone's pumped, especially the loudmouth Snotlout, who grins and brags about already having taken down a dragon. The others aren't convinced. Before anyone can challenge him further, Gobber throws open the iron gate to unleash today's opponent, a Gronkle, a short, fat, heavily armored dragon with a bad attitude and a powerful jaw. The recruits scramble to grab shields. The goofy twins, Roughnut and Toughnut, fight over the same one, wrestling and arguing until they both get knocked out of the ring before the dragon even gets a chance to swing. Classic. The rest try to make loud banging noises with their shields to confuse the Gronkle, using a trick they learned in class. But Fishlegs, eager to show off what he's memorized from the Book of Dragons, starts rambling on about the species' weaknesses, right in the middle of the fight. Unfortunately, while he's talking, the Gronkle launches a fireball right at him. Fishlegs dives for cover and refuses to come out, even as Gobber yells at him to fight. Meanwhile, Snotlout takes this chaos as the perfect opportunity to hit on Astrid. "Looks like it's just you and me, huh?" he says smugly. But before she can respond, a fireball whizzes right past him and knocks him flat on his back. Not exactly the romantic moment he imagined. Hiccup, trying to stay out of trouble, ends up face to face with the Gronkle. The dragon pins him against a wall, roaring and ready to strike. Just when it looks like this might be the end, Gobber yanks him out of harm's way and declares the training session over. Everyone's shaken. Gobber reminds them with a serious tone. "A dragon always rolls to kill. Don't ever forget that." Later, Hiccup wanders through the forest, thoughts swirling. He keeps coming back to that moment in the arena, how the Gronkle didn't kill him, and more importantly, why Toothless, the Night Fury he found, didn't attack him either. He eventually reaches the beautiful green valley where Toothless now lives, stranded. Hiccup realizes that when he shot Toothless from the sky, the blast damaged his tail. Half of it's missing, and without it, the dragon can't fly. This prison of cliffs and forests isn't a home, it's a cage. From a safe distance, Hiccup pulls out his notebook and begins to sketch the dragon. But when his pencil accidentally drops near Toothless, The creature snarls and growls, reminding him that trust isn't earned overnight. Back at training, Gobber assigns the recruits a new task, studying the legendary Book of Dragons. This thick, ancient tome is filled with centuries of Viking knowledge about every known dragon species, including how to kill them. Fishlegs, of course, is thrilled. He's already read the thing cover to cover. But the others? Not so much. They complain that books won't help them survive in battle. Everyone leaves, except Astrid. She actually seems curious. She glances over at Hiccup and suggests they study together. She's already read it, she says, but a little revision wouldn't hurt. Before she leaves, Hiccup hesitates and shares his growing belief. Maybe dragons aren't the monsters we think they are. Maybe we're the ones invading their lands, stealing their food. Astrid narrows her eyes and bites back. You can say that because your dad runs the village. I've had to earn everything I have. If fighting dragons is what it takes to protect our people, then I'll do it until my last breath. Her words hit hard. Once she's gone, Hiccup opens the book again. He studies it closely this time. There's one section, just one paragraph, on the Night Fury. No drawings, no maps, just one warning. Avoid at all costs. The unholy offspring of lightning and death itself. Never engage this dragon. And yet, Hiccup already has. That night, Hiccup sneaks out with one of his drawings and pastes it onto the blank page for the Night Fury. It's time to add his own truth to the book. Meanwhile, far across the sea, Stoic and his fleet sail into a thick wall of smoke. They've found something. The water narrows into a dangerous gorge. The men are on high alert, eyes scanning the skies for dragons. But the attack doesn't come from above. It comes from below. A swarm of dragons bursts from the water, overwhelming the fleet. The Vikings are completely outnumbered. Stoic calls for a retreat, his face filled with frustration and disbelief. This wasn't the nest. They've been ambushed. Back on Berk, Hiccup and the other recruits face their next dragon, the deadly Natter. This one's sleek, fast, and smart, with a weak spot right between the eyes. Problem is, the teams don't work well as a team. Everyone's trying to show off. It's a mess. Hiccup tries to get Gobber's attention. How do we know the Night Fury is so dangerous if no one's ever seen one? Before Gobber can respond, Astrid shouts, warning Hiccup to move. The Natter charges. She manages to blindside it and trap it inside a rock formation, pinning it temporarily. But she isn't celebrating. Instead, she turns to the others and scolds them. You all act like this is some game. Our parents' war is about to become our war. You'd better be ready. Meanwhile, Hiccup visits Toothless again, this time with a gift, a fish. As always, the dragon snarls, suspicious. Slowly, Hiccup places his knife on the ground and backs away. A sign of peace. Toothless approaches, sniffs the fish, and begins to eat. That's when Hiccup notices something hilarious. He has no teeth. They retract when he chews, popping in and out like gummy candy. Hiccup laughs and says, Toothless, that's what I'll call you. As Toothless finishes the fish, he suddenly corners Hiccup, baring his gums. Hiccup freezes, until the dragon pukes up half the fish right onto his lap. Toothless is sharing his food. Hiccup makes a face but takes a bite. The dragon stares at him as if waiting for him to eat the whole thing. But Hiccup does it, and in that moment, something shifts. Toothless gives a little smile. Hiccup tries to reach out and touch him, but the dragon backs away and draws a circle of fire on the ground, his territory. Hiccup tries to step in again and again, but Toothless growls, stopping him. So Hiccup kneels in the dirt and draws the dragon in the sand. Curious, Toothless joins in, scraping patterns with a stick. Every time Hiccup steps on one of Toothless' lines, the dragon bares his teeth like a challenge. Eventually, Hiccup dodges every mark and stands before him. This time, when he reaches out, Toothless allows it. That small touch means everything. Back in the village, Hiccup gets to work. Using his skills as a blacksmith's apprentice, he crafts a leather prosthetic tail fin for Toothless. The next day, he returns to the valley with snacks and the new tail. As Toothless munches, Hiccup sneaks close and straps the tail into place. The dragon takes off, zooming through the sky with Hiccup holding on for dear life. It's wild. It's chaotic. They crash into a lake, soaking wet and laughing. But it's progress. And it's the beginning of something magical. At the next training session, the recruits face a zippleback, a two-headed dragon. One head releases gas, the other sparks it. Total chaos. The arena fills with green fog. Everyone grabs buckets of water, the only defense. But one by one they go down. The zippleback slinks through the mist, ready to blow up the entire room. But when it reaches Hiccup, it hesitates. He smells like a dragon. Hiccup calmly tosses the beast a treat, and it backs away, returning to its cage. The others stare at him, jaws dropped, including Gobber. 2 questions: what the heck just happened? And how? But Hiccup doesn't answer. He's already rushing back to the workshop to build the next upgrade for Toothless, a movable harness that lets him control the tail fin mid-flight. Their next flight ends in a gorgeous dandelion field, where Toothless sneezes and nearly blows them off the cliff. Hiccup starts applying everything he learns from Toothless in the arena. Using dandelions, tricks, and calm movements, he takes down a Gronkle without even hurting it. He even figures out how to hypnotize a dragon with soft touches to make it fall asleep. Astrid, watching all of this, is getting suspicious. During the next test, Hiccup defeats another dragon by using sunlight reflections like a cat toy. The crowd starts cheering his name. Hiccup becomes a star, while the other recruits, especially Astrid, begin to grow jealous. One day, Astrid catches him sneaking into the forest with gear and food. She decides to follow him. Luckily, Hiccup eventually loses sight of Astrid before she can follow him all the way. Meanwhile, back on Berk, Stoik finally returns home with what's left of his fleet. The expedition to find the dragon's nest was a disaster. Many ships were damaged, and several men were injured. Even so, Stoik arrives with a bit of good news. He hears that his son has become the top student in dragon training. In fact, people are saying Hiccup might already be as skilled as his father. Imagine that. Speaking of rising up, Hiccup finally tests the final version of Toothless saddle and tail design. Using all the sketches he's been making, he adjusts the parts just right. The flight starts off great. Toothless soars through the air, fast and smooth. Hiccup can't help but enjoy it a little too much. He flies higher and higher, until suddenly he slips out of the saddle and falls. Oh no. Toothless, now without his pilot to help control the tail, also starts spiraling toward the ground. But just in time, Hiccup manages to grab the harness mid-fall and climb back on. What could have been a terrible accident turns into one of their most incredible moments yet. It's official. The boy and the dragon can truly fly together. Back at home, Hiccup is caught off guard by his dad, who's waiting for him. Stoik, in a surprisingly cheerful mood, demands to know the secret to Hiccup's amazing skills in the arena. The boy gets nervous, thinking he's about to spill the beans about Toothless. But instead, Stoik bursts out laughing and gives Hiccup a huge pat on the back. His son is becoming a real Viking. He even gives Hiccup something personal, a helmet made from his mother's old breastplate. It's a touching moment. Hiccup accepts it quietly, even though not long ago, all he ever wanted was for his dad to say these things to him. Then comes the final training test. This time, Hiccup sits in the audience, watching Astrid take on a Gronkle, fully expecting her to win. She goes in confidently and is about to deliver the final blow, when she realizes Hiccup had already knocked the dragon out before she got there. Everyone's stunned. Gobber steps forward and officially names Hiccup the new Supreme Dragon Hunter. The parents of the other teens are clearly disappointed, but Stoik can't stop beaming with pride. As for Hiccup, he's not celebrating. He knows what comes next. He'll have to kill a dragon in front of the whole village. Later, Hiccup heads to see Toothless, hoping to clear his mind. But surprise, Astrid has followed him. She's determined to figure out his secret. Hiccup tries to play it off, saying he's just been designing clothes, referring to his odd-looking flying outfit. Astrid doesn't buy it and knocks him to the ground, once for lying, then again for lying to everyone else. At that moment, Toothless reveals himself and charges toward her. Before anything happens, Hiccup quickly steps in, yelling for peace. Astrid takes off running, ready to warn the village, but Toothless cuts her off and leaves her hanging, literally, off a tree branch by her belt. Hiccup makes a deal. He'll help her down if she promises not to tell anyone. She agrees, a little shaken up. Then, in an effort to show her Toothless isn't dangerous, Hiccup invites her to ride with them. Toothless isn't thrilled and Astrid's terrified, but they take off. The flight is wild at first. Toothless shows off a little, but eventually, Astrid gently touches his back like Hiccup taught her. Toothless calms down, and the flight becomes magical. Astrid finally sees the world as Hiccup has. How incredible dragons truly are. But suddenly, Toothless takes a sharp turn. He's following something, other dragons. They end up at a dark, fog-covered volcano. It's the dragon's nest, the one Stoic has been searching for. They watch as dragons drop off food into a huge pit, and then from deep below, a monstrous dragon emerges. Massive, terrifying, and hungry. It gobbles up the smaller dragons that fail to bring enough food. Astrid and Hiccup are horrified. This is what's forcing the dragons to attack villages. They're feeding a tyrant. Back on Berk, Astrid wants to tell the villagers right away, but Hiccup stops her. If she tells, it could mean the end for Toothless. She calls him selfish, but Hiccup promises to find a better way, one that won't hurt anyone, dragon or human. Then she punches him for kidnapping her, and kisses him on the cheek for everything else. Toothless even gives Hiccup a little congratulatory nudge. The next day, the big ceremony begins. The arena is packed, everyone cheering for the new Supreme Hunter. Hiccup pulls Astrid aside and tells her not to interfere, no matter what happens. Astrid nods. She tells him his is different. He has something no one else does, and that's why she'll be by his side, no matter what. The gates open. Hiccup walks into the arena with only a shield and small knife. Stoic watches from above and mutters that he would have picked a hammer instead. Gobber quietly replies, he knows what he's doing. Then, the monstrous nightmare dragon is released. It tries to escape, attacking the audience, but the chains hold it back. Enraged, it turns its fury on Hiccup. Everyone holds their breath, but Hiccup doesn't raise his weapon. He throws it aside, even tosses his helmet. Slowly, gently, he reaches out to the dragon and speaks softly. We don't have to kill them. Gasps fill the arena. Stoic, furious, slams his axe into the ground and yells for the fight to end. But that shout only angers the monstrous nightmare more. Back in the valley, Toothless hears the distant roar. He tries to break out of his cave. Astrid rushes into the arena, hoping to help. She distracts the dragon long enough, but Hiccup's still in trouble. Just as the monstrous nightmare lunges for him, Toothless bursts through the flames and dives into the arena. He shields Hiccup, pins the nightmare to the ground, and sends it crawling back to its pen. The crowd is stunned. A night fury, real and alive. Some villagers panic. They grab their weapons and rush toward the arena to kill it. Astrid tries to stop them, but Stoic won't let her through. Stoic charges forward, sword drawn. But before he can attack, Toothless pins him too. He's about to fire a blast, but Hiccup screams, no. Toothless stops. That moment of hesitation is all Stoic's men need. They trap Toothless in a giant net. Stoic orders everyone to stand down. Then, solemnly, he locks up Toothless himself. And that's it. The crowd disperses. The cheers are gone. Everyone's in shock. Later, in private, Stoic scolds his son. He demands to know what Hiccup was thinking, embarrassing him like that in front of the whole village. Hiccup tries to explain. He was only trying to show them the truth, that dragons aren't monsters. They're just scared and forced to fight. But Stoic won't hear it. He reminds Hiccup that dragons took his wife, took everything they had. They're killers. Then Hiccup tells him the real reason dragons raid villages. They're bringing food to their boss, a massive dragon hidden in a volcano. He knows because Toothless showed him. That's when Stoic snaps. He decides to use Toothless to find the nest and end the dragon threat once and for all. When Hiccup tries to stop him, Stoic pushes him aside. You've chosen the wrong side, he says coldly. You're not my son. And just like that, Stoic and the other Vikings set sail, dragging the night fury in chains behind them. Hiccup watches them leave. His heart sinks. He turns to Astrid and admits he should have just killed Toothless that first day. It would have saved everyone a lot of pain. Astrid looks at him and says quietly, any other Viking would have. Then she adds, but you're not like them. You're the first Viking ever to ride a dragon. Hiccup finally breaks. He admits he didn't kill Toothless because, when he looked into his eyes, he saw himself. They were both scared, both alone. Astrid is quiet for a moment, then asks, so, what are you going to do now? How are you going to save him? Hiccup gives a small, nervous grin. Something stupid. Astrid smirks, punching his arm gently. You already did something stupid. Now it better be something crazy. The scene shifts. Near the volcano, Stoic and the Vikings have set up camp at the edge of the dragon's nest. Thanks to Toothless, who they've brought along in chains, the dragons don't attack. They let the humans approach without resistance. Meanwhile, back in Berk, Hiccup gets to work. He needs to reach the volcano fast, but there are no ships left. So, with Astrid and the remaining teens, he goes to the arena where all the training dragons are being held. Time to break them out. These dragons will be their ride, and their team. Hiccup quickly starts assigning them. He gives the enormous, terrifying, monstrous nightmare to the most cowardly of the group, Muttley. Poor guy nearly passes out just touching the saddle. The goofy twin brothers are assigned the two-headed hideous Sippleback, while the brainy Fishlegs is paired with the chunky, dependable Gronkle. Astrid, of course, gets the elegant and fierce Deadly Natter. Back at the volcano, Stoic listens closely. He hears the growls and wings of dragons all around, hidden in plain sight. This is it, he says. This is the place. The Vikings waste no time. Under Stoic's orders, they set up massive catapults and war machines along the volcano's ridge. They believe they're preparing for the biggest war of their lives. Then, the attack begins. The catapults fire, blasting open a hole in the volcano. From within, a massive swarm of dragons flies out. But instead of fighting, the dragons flee in terror. The Vikings cheer, thinking they've won. We did it, they shout. We've conquered the nest. But Stoic isn't celebrating. He senses something's not right. Suddenly, the ground shakes. The air turns hot. And from deep within the volcano, something enormous stirs. Something not of this world. An enormous beast, 10 times the size of any dragon they've seen, rises from the flames. This is Red Death, the terrifying dragon queen, the one all others have been feeding. A living nightmare with wings like mountains and eyes that glow like fire. This isn't natural, one Viking mutters. That thing's not from any god I know. The Vikings panic. Some turn to run. Others scramble to defend the catapults. Red Death lets out a thunderous roar and takes to the sky, raining fire down. In seconds, she destroys the fleet, burning Viking ships to ashes. Meanwhile, poor Toothless struggles in his chains, watching the chaos unfold, unable to help. Stoic shouts, "Take cover!" He and Gobber rush to position a catapult toward the giant beast. With a heave, they launch a massive projectile straight at Red Death. Boom! Direct hit. But nothing. The projectile bounces off her scales like a pebble. She's not even scratched. Red Death charges up a blast of fire, but before she can unleash it, the cavalry arrives. Hiccup and the others swoop in on their dragons, circling the sky above. The crowd stares in awe. Teenagers riding dragons, coming to save the day. While Astrid and the team work to distract the massive beast, dodging blasts and fireballs, Hiccup heads straight for Toothless. He lands, dodges flames, and starts breaking his dragon free. Muttley falls right out of the sky, landing directly on Red Death's massive head. Not exactly his plan, but it works. The beast flails for a second, dazed. From below, sees his son, flying, commanding dragons, leading the charge. And for the first time, he's proud. Muttley, feeling bold now, punches the dragon's eye. "Take that, ya overgrown lizard," he yells. But Red Death's tail slams into the volcano, shaking everything. The shockwave knocks Hiccup and Toothless' ship off its perch, crashing into the sea below. Toothless sinks, still bound. Hiccup doesn't give up. Underwater, he fights to free his friend. He's almost out of breath when strong arms grab him and pull him to shore. It's Stoic. Hiccup gasps for air, coughing as Toothless stares at them from the water. For a moment, it seems like this might be the end for the dragon. But Stoic surprises them all. Without saying a word, he dives in and frees Toothless from his chains. When he resurfaces, he looks at Hiccup, voice full of emotion. "I was trying to protect you. That's all I ever wanted. But I see now, I was wrong." He places a hand on Hiccup's shoulder. "Being your father is the greatest thing I've ever done." With Toothless free, the battle reignites. Astrid dodges another blast from Red Death, while the twins rescue Muttley from falling. In the sky, Hiccup and Toothless take flight once more, soaring high above the chaos. They unleash plasma blasts at the monstrous queen, dodging fireballs. But during the fight, Toothless' prosthetic tail gets burned. Now they can't steer. They start falling straight toward Red Death. "Hang on," Hiccup shouts. At the last second, Toothless fires a powerful plasma shot straight into Red Death's mouth. Boom. The blast erupts from inside her throat. Red Death screeches, stumbles, and crashes headfirst into the volcano. The impact sends a wave of fire and smoke across the field. It's over, but not without loss. In the silence that follows, Stoic walks through the smoldering remains. He finds Toothless lying in the ash, wings curled protectively. There's no sign of Hiccup. Stoic drops to his knees, heartbroken. I'm sorry, he whispers, for not being the father you deserved. Astrid walks over, putting a hand on his shoulder. She says nothing. Tears fill her eyes too. Toothless stirs. He lifts a wing, and underneath, Hiccup, alive. The crowd gasps. Stoic rushes over, hugging his son tight. Thank you, he says to Toothless, for saving my boy. Days later, Hiccup wakes up in his bed back on Berk. For a second, everything feels normal. But then, he sees Toothless in the room, wagging his tail like a loyal dog. Hey, Hiccup laughs. You can't be in here. But when he tries to get out of bed, he stumbles. He looks down. Where his left foot used to be is now a metal and wooden prosthetic, a reminder of the battle, a symbol of his bravery. He takes a deep breath, steadies himself, and walks. Toothless nudges him gently, helping him balance. Thanks, bud, Hiccup says with a smile. When they step outside, they find a completely new Berk. Dragons everywhere, flying, playing, living with the villagers in peace. The war is over. The age of dragons has begun. Hiccup walks through the village, welcomed by cheers. His father pats him proudly on the back. Gobber gives him a brand new tail for Toothless, made of red leather with a painted white dragon face, sleek and strong. Before Hiccup can say anything, Astrid punches him in the arm. That's for scaring me, she says. Then, without warning, she kisses him. And that's for everything else. As they laugh, Hiccup hops onto Toothless. The rest of the team joins him in the sky. Dragons fill the air, soaring through the clouds. Berk has changed forever. And this is just the beginning. If you had fun with this recap, make sure to smash that like button. It really helps us out. Got a film or series you'd like to see covered? Drop it in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss a recap. Until next time, take care and stay super.